Hello and welcome to another fic called Organic Ghost Detector by Dragons Are Cool on AO3. Chapter 1 Road Trip Revelations. Redbrook? Where's that? Green tipped his head at impulse, not recognizing the town of their next potential job. It's in Kansas. It'll probably take us a couple of days to get there, Impulse explained without looking up from the reports. Isn't that pretty far for a job? Impulse looked up at Green's nervous tone. His wings were pinned to his back far more tightly than he usually held them. Investigators typically have to travel further than scouts. There's not as many of us to go around. Is that alright? Green ducked his head a bit and muttered, "It's fine." Impulse studied him with a bit of concern. You don't have to go if you're not comfortable going that far. No one's gonna force you. No, it's fine. Promise. And by the time they were heading out to pick up Skiz, Green did seem more settled. Maybe a little off, but the avian's anxiety still varied a lot day to day, so it could have been anything at that point. And the first day of driving went fine as well. They made their usual stops for bathroom and food breaks. They left Green some time to get out and stretch his wings. Skiz even opted to fly with him for a little bit. The angel didn't tend to fly as much as other winged people did. His height made flying a little cumbersome, and he never really enjoyed it the same way others often did. Impulse was sure Green's slight nerves might have contributed to Skiz's decision to join him, but it was equally likely the angel was still just trying to win him over still. He already saw Green as one of his, under his guardian angel care. Green just hadn't gotten comfortable enough with him yet to allow the angel to worry over him the way he did for others. Impulse laughed at his friend anyways, as he didn't stay aloft long. The smaller avian was literally flying circles around him. "He's so fast!" Skiz lamented as he went through the annoying task of folding up and settling his massive wings on his back again. "He is," Impulse agreed. "Looks fun, though." He stood, still watching Green dive and swoop and dart around among the trees in the rest stop they found. He was quick, agile, and precise in his movements, and almost deceptively strong, occasionally stopping entirely to hover on the air a moment before turning and diving in a different direction. He knew both from Skiz and his family and from Jimmy that hovering was difficult and strenuous. But when Green finally joined them back on the ground, he hadn't even broken a sweat. His hair was wind-tossed and his cheeks reddened from the wind, but he seemed settled. Scar came up beside him and muscled his hair from how the wind had tried to force some sense of order into the fine, unruly feathers. "That was quite the show, Songbird," Scar teased. Green's face took on even more color at the nickname. "Feeling better?" Impulse asked. Green just nodded. "Better enough for another few hours in the truck?" he playfully winced, and Green mimicked the expression. "Yeah, I'll be fine," he drawled. And he was, the rest of their long traveling day going off without a hitch. But the next morning, Green was uncharacteristically quiet and rather still at breakfast. It was typical for him to be a bit subdued in the mornings. He was definitely not an early bird, but now he was completely out of it. "Did you not sleep well, Green?" Scar voiced their question aloud. "Huh?" Green's eyes came up to them, looking hazy with sleep. Impulse and Skiz frowned at him, and Scar just kinda looked at him sadly. Impulse nodded and got up, spurring the rest of them into getting ready to hit the road. Green was passed out, sleeping soundly against Skiz's side by the time they made it to the highway. Despite the circumstances, Impulse could recognize Skiz's faint smile, glad to see Green was at least comfortable enough around him to accidentally fall asleep on him instead of Scar, who was sat on his other side. "What do you think's gotten into him?" Impulse whispered, so as not to wake him. Not that it seems like it would matter, he was out cold. Should we call Mumbo? Maybe he knows something. That's a good idea. I know he has some sleep thing, but Mumbo would know more. Scar pulled out his phone and started calling them and started the call. Mumbo answered fairly quickly, so Scar put him on speaker with the volume lowered and held it out to all of them. "Hello? Ska?" "Hi, Mumbo," Impulse greeted instead. "We have you on speaker." "Oh, okay." The poor, perpetually confused man on the other end. "We had a question for you, Mumbo, about Green." "Is everything alright?" He worried immediately. "It just seems like he didn't sleep at all last night, and now he's passed out on me," Skiz explained a bit happily. "We just wanted to know if that's pretty normal for him, or if he might be getting sick or something." "He wasn't with it enough this morning to talk with us much," Impulse added. Mumbo just sighed on the other end. They could make out a muffled and very disappointed sounding grin on the other side. "Could you have him call me when he wakes up? I'll see if I can get him to talk to you guys." "We can do that. So, is he probably okay?" "I think he did it on purpose," Mumbo admitted, "but he's fine." "That's good, at least." Scar relaxed back into his seat a little more. "We'll have him call you when we stop for lunch then. Thank you, Mumbo." "Right. Thanks for letting me know. I'll talk to you soon." "Bye, Mumbo," Scar sang quietly before hanging up the phone. They found another nice rest stop with a picnic area just outside of the town where they'd picked up food. And the weather was nice, so they were hanging outside while they enjoyed a leisurely lunch. It doubled as a way to leave Green in the truck for privacy while he called Mumbo like they asked. Impulse looked up at the back of the truck opening, and a very cowed little bird walking out, still holding his phone. "Did it go okay?" Impulse asked him. He got past Green's phone instead, which was still on that call. "Hello?" He pulled it up to his ear. "Hi, Impulse. Everything okay?" "Sort of," Mumbo started. "He kept himself up so he wouldn't wake you if he had a night terror again." "Oh." Impulse looked up at the others. They couldn't hear Mumbo's side of the conversation this time. He didn't have a problem with that at the last hunt, though. He doesn't get it, though, when he's exhausted enough. "Ah, okay. Thanks for letting us know." Impulse sighed and frowned at Green again. The avian was pointedly just staring at his lunch. "Anything we should know about helping him?" He reacts differently each time, but just don't try and touch him till he wakes up. Just talk to him." "Got it. We can do that. Thanks, Mumbo." "Of course. Good luck with the investigation. And everything else." Mumbo was the one to hang up this time. None of the hermits particularly enjoyed lingering on phone calls, and Mumbo was far from an exception on that one. "You alright, Grian?" Impulse addressed him first, and passed back his phone. "I'm fine." He still wouldn't look at any of them, looking for all the world like a little kid that got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. "I'm sorry." "Grian, you don't need to apologize," Impulse rebutted gently. "Do you want to talk about it?" He sighed and grumbled a bit. "Mumbo said I should." "What's going on?" Skiz tentatively asked. Impulse waited a bit, giving Grian a chance to speak for himself. All he got was a nervous glance, so he sighed and explained what Mumbo had just told him. "He kept himself up last night so he wouldn't have a night terror and wake us up." Skiz and Scar both gave a rather surprised "Oh," much like Impulse had over the phone. "Grian, you know we're here for you, even when we aren't actively in a haunt, right? You don't have to hide these things from us," Skiz continued. He didn't add that he preferred Grian didn't hide these things from him. He didn't need his guardian angel compulsion, making his new friend feel pressured or uncomfortable. That would rather defeat the purpose. "You know, you're not the only one either," Impulse offered. "I get them sometimes too." Impulse pointedly didn't look at Skiz, who had turned to borderline glare at him in surprise. He neglected to tell his friend that either, but he could face that music later. And Skiz, at least for the moment, didn't push the issue. "You do?" Grian finally looked up at him. "Yeah, not as often these days, but I used to get them most nights for a while there." He had the self-awareness to curl up under Skiz's unrelenting gaze after admitting more than the angel was willing to stay quiet about. "How come I wasn't aware of this, Impulse?" The harsh accusation was full of so much love and care as to almost give Impulse whiplash. "I never got them around you," he admitted rapidly before trying to turn things back to Grian. "The point is, you're not alone, Grian. We'll help you. But you need to not drive yourself to the point of exhaustion to avoid it. Sleep is pretty important in a job like this. You'll need to have your wits about you in the haunt." Scar reached across the table to take Grian's hands. He offered him a gentle smile. "I don't mind a cuddle buddy for the night if you think that might help." "I wouldn't want to hurt you," he protested. "And I'm not a very good cuddler anyways." "I'm sure you wouldn't hurt us, Grian." He wrinkled up his nose a bit at that. "I've almost broken Mumbo's nose like 3 times, and I knocked him out once." "Ah, okay." Scar clearly didn't really want to walk back the offer, but Grian was far more serious about the threat of bodily harm than he really anticipated. And Grian did opt not to risk Scar's well-being that night, and after the strain of a skipped night of sleep and the revelations of the day, he did actually sleep through the night. The following day was far more typical day for travel for them, and they pulled up to the house right at sunset. "Oh, you gotta be kidding." Grian marveled as they pulled into view of the farmhouse they'd be investigating. "Something wrong, G?" Skiz half teased. "We have to go in there?" Impulse fought down a grin of his own at his teammate's reaction. "You don't have to go in if you're not comfortable with it," he dutifully clarified. "There's plenty of remote work you could do from the truck." Impulse opened the door then, and got out to get the back of the truck opened and ready for the night's investigation. He heard all three of his teammates join him as well. "It does look a bit like an architectural hazard," he heard Scar mutter. "I know it's your guy's first abandoned site, but I promise, it's not that different to any other house." Impulse tried to calm them. "We still have the exact same job to do." "Exact same? That house looks like an actual haunted house. It's terrifying in there. I know that already." Green was poking his head out the back of the truck to keep the house within his sight. "Look at it." Impulse stepped back onto the ramp, then really taking a look at the house. It was an old log cabin style farmhouse. The wood dark with the day's rain and the weather worn by the near decade it lain forgotten. The once probably quaint little porch was collapsed on one side, and the front door hung crooked off its hinges. Even the roof seemed slightly bowed in at the center. It would definitely need a lot of work to be considered safe again. Unfortunately, as ghost investigators, they were the first line for the restoration work. "Yeah, it's a pretty bad one," Impulse admitted. "We'll be fine, though. Some dust and cobwebs aren't going to hurt us." He pulled out the outdoor gear and passed it off to Green and Scar. "Why don't you guys go set these up? We're not ready to go in just yet, anyways." Impulse sent Green and Scar out together with a bit of grumbling on their part. But they did go to their credit. He sent them partly to test how well they'd been paying attention to the last two haunts, and particularly to get a moment to talk with Skids. "You gonna be alright?" "What?" Skids looked up from the computer where he was setting up for the calibrations for once. "You've been stressed. I know Green spooked you a bit with the soul thing, and how he took Scar's death." Scar had been surprisingly chill about the whole ordeal on the other hand, despite how startled he'd been at the beginning of the hunt that did him in. "And now the night terrors thing, I just want to know that you're gonna be okay with this." "They're part of the team now, Dop. I'd agreed to it, too." "Of course I'm okay." Impulse gave him a look. "I promise, Impulse." Skiz put a hand like he had been sworn in. "It's just an adjustment period. New team dynamics. I promise I'm okay." Impulse dropped his shoulders and conceded the point. "All right, but you tell me if you're ever not." Skiz nodded. "You got my word, dude." Impulse gave him a curt nod, and Skiz returned his attention to the computer. They sat there in peaceful silence for a few minutes before. "I should go check on them." Impulse pushed himself up off the desk. "Probably a good call." Impulse grabbed a flashlight and headed out to see that they had successfully set up the front two sensors already. He headed around the side of the house and found the third sensor in place, just as it should be. Crossing back around to the other side of the house, he found the pair. Scar was sat on the ground, holding something up, and Green was crouched nearby, digging through a pile of rocks. "How's it going back here, guys?" Impulse asked smugly. He'd caught Green and Scar trying to balance up rocks and some firewood to prop up the last sensor to face the house. The paved patio making the stake it was mounted on useless. Green answered eloquently as both of them looked up at him. The sensor in their precious stack comically collapsed between them. "It's not." We've got stands for this. I'll go grab one. Impulse grinned. Nice try, though. He left them to go collect the stand. Skiz cast him a glance as he came back, asking silently how they were doing. Impulse collected and held up the sensor stand to show Skiz with a barely restrained chuckle. That was enough to have Skiz laughing at their expense as well. Rocks or firewood? Both, Impulse answered, amused. Still didn't work. Of course not. Skiz and Impulse had been caught up at their fair share of haunts, fiddling with the sensors too. Eventually they gave up and got Zed to build them some stands for them. And then spent the next month jokingly lamenting for not having asked sooner. And that's the end of chapter 1.